So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So, when women started to mobilize for the reform?
Well, me, Angelina Grimke, wrote my first novel along with my sister Sarah in 1836, and it's called An Appeal to Christian Women. But the first official gathering for women's rights was in 1848.
Okay, and which important women were involved into the reform?
Well, obviously, me, Angelina Grimke, and my sister Sarah Grimke, and Susan B. Anthony, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
Because of what women started to mobilize the reform?
Well, we wanted the same rights as men, and also we wanted family responsibilities, and we felt that there was a lack of educational and economic opportunities, and also there was an absence of a voice in political debates.
Mm-hmm. And what was the Second Falls Convention?
That was like the first women's rights gathering, and the two women who organized the convention were Lucretta Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and it took place in July 19th through the 20th in 1840.
Mm-hmm. Where, in which city?
Seneca, New York.
Okay. And the last question about the convention. What were some of the rights that women claimed on it?
Well, us women weren't allowed to vote. We had no property rights if we were married, and if we got divorced from our spouse, custody and child laws favored men.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What is abolitionism?
Abolitionism is a movement to end slavery.
Okay, when it started?
It started in around 1830 through 1870.
Mm-hmm. What was the movement about?
The movement was mostly about slavery.
Mm-hmm. Which races in America were mostly affected by the movement?
Africans Americans were mostly affected by slavery.
How about the white race?
They weren't. They were usually the people owning the slaves.
Mm-hmm. Are the major contributors opponents of the abolitionism movement?
There was three, and also I'm one of them, Frederick Douglass. I was taught by my owner's wife on how to read and write. And one of the other friends I have is David Walker. He was a free black, and he was telling people how we should fight for freedom rather than wait for it to end. And a good quote I remember was, he said, "The man who would not fight ought to be kept with all his children or family in slavery or in chains, to be butchered by his cruel enemies." And I remember in around 1820s, there were a lot of free blacks joining his anti-slavery campaign. There was also William Lloyd Garrison. He was a radical white abolitionist, and he was an editor, and he was involved in many religious reform movements in Massachusetts. And he also started a paper company called The Liberator, the Liberator, and it started in 1831, and he was telling people how slavery should just end and nothing else should happen. It should just end right there. And then there was Nat Turner. He was born into slavery in 1800s. He was chosen to lead people out of bondage. He gathered 80 other slaves to kill 60 white slave owners, and before being captured by state federal troops. He did escape, but then he was captured later and hanged.
Okay, what parts of the country allowed the practice of slavery?
The South was where there was the most slavery, but it was starting to grow into the North.
Mm-hmm. Okay, how did the slavery cause conflict in the U.S.?
White farmers were mad about how they were trying to abolish slavery.
Okay. That's it?
Yeah!